You keep wasting your energy on what matters least. And in the name of what? Wasting time? Staying busy? Feeling productive? Avoiding things you know actually matter? And where has that gotten you? You know, if nothing changes, that right there should tell you something about what your future could look like. Because your future is not being shaped by what you say matters. It's being shaped by what keeps getting your time, your focus, your effort, and your best energy. And if the things that matter most keep getting what's left over, then the answer is already in front of you. This is not confusion or lack of time. This is misalignment, a life built by the priorities you have not been honest enough to question. See, you do not have a time problem. What you have is a priority problem. Now, of course, life has responsibilities. There are things that need to be handled, and pretending otherwise would be ridiculous. Last time I checked, work and bills do exist. Errands exist. But that is not the issue. The issue is what happens after the necessary things are handled, because that space reveals more than you realize. That is where your priorities start to become visible. If you say your health matters, does your day make room for it? If you say building wealth matters, are you giving attention to the habits, the skills, the decisions, and discipline that support it? If you say your relationships matter, do they receive any real presence, patience, honesty, or effort? This is where busyness can become an excuse. Not because life is empty of responsibility, but because responsibility can become a convenient hiding place. At some point, you have to ask whether your day is being filled or whether it's being aimed. Because the goal is not to ignore what has to be done. The goal is to handle what must be handled. Then prioritize what actually moves your life forward. This is why priority is not just about time management. It is about self-understanding. Because if you do not understand yourself, you will not know what deserves your best energy. You will keep organizing your day around pressure instead of purpose, around avoidance instead of direction, around whatever feels loudest instead of whatever actually matters. And that is where people lose themselves. They think the problem is they need a better schedule, a better planner, or a better app. And maybe that helps, but only if you know what you're organizing your life around. Because if you don't know what your values are, everything competes for your attention. Your comfort will compete with your growth. Other people's expectations will compete with your own direction. Urgency will compete with discipline. And before you know it, your entire day is being shaped by whatever pulls the hardest instead of whatever matters the most. But once you start seeing that clearly, priority becomes less confusing. You begin to recognize what deserves more of you. You begin to notice what's been taking too much from you. And instead of moving through the day, reacting to everything, you start choosing with more intention. That is where awareness becomes useful. It gives you a way to organize your energy, your attention, and your actions around the life you are actually trying to build. Your priorities are not only deciding what gets done, they are deciding where your life is headed. That is the part people overlook. They think a day is just a day. One skipped workout, one delayed conversation, one avoided task, one more night spent giving attention to something that gives nothing meaningful back. And on its own, maybe it doesn't look like much, but your life is not built from one day. It's built from what your days keep repeating. The body you live in, the money you build or lose, the relationships you strengthen or neglect, the confidence you develop or weaken. All of it is being shaped by what repeatedly receives your energy. That is why alignment matters. Every day is quietly pointing you somewhere, even when it feels ordinary. Every repeated choice sends your life a message about what really matters. Ignore something long enough, and your life starts adjusting around its absence. Give your attention to the wrong things often enough, and they start taking up space where they never earned. That is how momentum builds. Quietly at first, then noticeably, until one day you realize your life has been moving in a direction you never actually chose. Once you understand that, daily choices stop feeling small. They become signals. They show you what direction you are feeding. They show you what is becoming stronger through repetition. And they give you a chance to correct the direction before the pattern becomes harder to interrupt. This is the power of priority. It lets you turn ordinary days into intentional movement. And when you start choosing with more awareness, your trajectory starts changing with you. Think about how this actually shows up in a normal day. You wake up early knowing there are things that have to be handled. Work, messages, bills, responsibilities, the normal weight of being alive. Fine, handle them. But then the day opens a small window. Maybe 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour, maybe more, maybe less. And in that space, your priority becomes visible. Do you train your body or scroll the night away? Do you study the skill that could increase your income or convince yourself you are too tired for that? That small window may not look life-changing, but it is, because that is where the future is usually decided. Not in the fantasy version of your life where you suddenly have perfect time, perfect energy, and perfect conditions. In the imperfect space you actually live in. The person who uses that space well starts building trust with themselves. Follow through gets stronger. Health becomes something acted on, not only talked about. The future receives real effort instead of vague intentions. Relationships receive presence instead of whatever attention is left over. You stop waiting for your life to become easier before you move. You start proving through your daily actions that even with limitations, you can still aim your life on purpose. At some point, your priorities become your direction, not your intentions or plans, not the version of your life you keep imagining. What you choose repeatedly is what starts shaping you. This is why this matters. Your life is already moving. Every day, your attention is going somewhere. Your energy and effort is going somewhere. The question is whether it is going towards the life you actually want or toward whatever keeps distracting you from it. So stop treating priority like a schedule problem. It's a direction problem, a self-respect problem, a future problem, because the things you keep placing first are teaching your life what to become. Choose carelessly and you drift. Choose consciously and your life starts answering back. And when you keep choosing with awareness, your life stops feeling random. It starts becoming yours. That is how you awaken and evolve.